What's going on, everybody? Take two. One person is going to understand this. Today, we're jumping into SUZANNE Vega's second album. This is Solitude Standing. And for me, yes, it is take two. I tried to do this yesterday, and I had a lot of technical difficulties. So I recorded the first 3 tracks, so I have heard them now. The audio was so messed up, and there was just a bunch of problems. I had to get rid of it. And I was frustrated, and I was like, I'm done. I'm done right now. I'm done. I can't do this. So I'm back doing it. Solitude Standing. Second album, 1987. Tom's Diner. 2 versions. Acapella was the first track. Instrumental was the last track. 1990, a remix version of the song featuring DNA reached number 5 in the US. And that's the one that I think that I have always heard. Is the instrumental, not the instrumental, sorry, the remixed version. We'll check that out. But for now, we're on to the initial, the OG, Tom's Diner. Written on November 18th. This is actually information I did not read yesterday. Wow. Okay. Written on November 18, 1981. It was first released as a track on the January 1984 issue of Fast Folk Musical Magazine. Really? Wow. Okay. Originally featured on our second album, Solitude Standing. It's released, Europe 87. Success of her single, Luka. It was later used as the basis for a remix, British group DNA. Yeah, this mother of the MP3. That's cool. Tom's Diner is Tom's restaurant in New York City, mid-20th century diner on the northeast corner of Broadway and West 112th Street. Singer and songwriter SUZANNE Vega was reputedly a frequent patron during the early 80s. When she was a student at nearby Barnard College. Diner later became famous as the location used for the exterior scenes of Monk's Cafe in Seinfeld, right? Song begins with the narrator stopping at a diner for a cup of coffee. The song mentions reading a newspaper as well as seeing 2 women, one who enters the diner and one who stands outside in the rain. A ring of bells at a nearby cathedral causes the narrator to reminisce about an unnamed companion and a midnight picnic. At the end of the song, the narrator leaves the diner to catch the train after the coffee is finished. Vega wrote the song based on a comment by her friend Brian Rose, a photographer, who mentioned that in his work, he sometimes felt as if he saw his whole life through a pane of glass and like he was the witness to a lot of things, but was never really involved in them. She attempted to think and write in this fashion, including a male perspective while sitting at Tom's Diner. Article of SUZANNE Vega's official website uses clues in the song to determine the exact date that Vega wrote it. Vega said that she wrote the song in 1982. Brian Rose has said that it was written sometime between mid-81 and mid-82. The lyrics refer to a rainy morning when she was at the diner on the corner reading in her newspaper of a story of an actor who had died while he was drinking and afterwards turning to the horoscope and looking for the funnies. Only 2 newspapers in New York City carry comic strips or funnies in 81, 82, and only one, the New York Post, featured a front page story of the death of Oscar-winning actor William Holden, whose body was discovered November 16, 1981. In a 2008 essay for New York Times, Vega confirmed that Holden was the actor whose death she had read about and inspired the line in the song. Vega conceived Tom's Diner as a piece for voice and solo piano. 2 versions feature on her album Solitude Standing. The album opens with the acapella and closes with an instrumental version played on keyboards and guitars lending support. Okay, mother of the MP3. Tom's Diner was used by the researcher Karl-Heinz Brandenburg as a reference in developing the MP3 audio compression scheme. He recalled, I was ready to fine-tune my compression algorithm somewhere down the corridor. See, algorithms have been in play forever, right? 40 years. Somewhere down the corridor, a radio was playing Tom's Diner. I was electrified. I knew it would be nearly impossible to compress this warm a cappella voice. In a 2009 documentary about the history of the song by Swedish SVT, Brandenburg said, I was finishing my PhD thesis and then I was reading some hi-fi magazine and found that they had used this song to test loudspeakers. I said, okay, let's test what this song does to my sound system, to MP3. And the result was at bit rates where everything else sounded quite nice, SUZANNE Vega's voice sounded horrible. Brandenburg adopted the song for testing purposes, listening to it again and again each time he refined the scheme, making sure it did not adversely affect the subtlety of Vega's voice. While the MP3 compression format is not specifically tuned to play the song Tom's Diner, an assortment of critically analyzed material was involved in the design of the codec over many years. Among audio engineers, this anecdote has earned Vega the informal title, the mother of the MP3. Okay, there you go. DNA remix. Oh, this is actually interesting. Okay, I'll get to this part after. Let me get to the song. I'll get to this after. Because we're going to do the original, right? This. And then we're going to do the DNA remix also. Because that's what I heard, right? That's what I remember. So let's get into this. Tom's Diner, first song on Solitude, standing, acapella. Let's do it, bam.
I am sitting in the morning at the diner on the corner. I am waiting at the counter for the man to pour the coffee, and he fills it only halfway, and before I even argue, he is looking out the window at somebody coming in. It is always nice to see you, says the man behind the counter to the woman who has come in. She is shaking her umbrella, and I look the other way as they are kissing their hellos, and I'm pretending not to see them, and instead I pour the milk. I open up the paper, there's a story of an actor who had died while he was drinking. It was no one I had heard of, and I'm turning to the horoscope and looking for the funnies when I'm feeling someone watching me, and so I raise my head. There's a woman on the outside looking inside. Does she see me? No, she does not really see me, 'cause she sees her own reflection, and I'm trying not to notice that she's hitching up her skirt, and while she's straightening her stockings, her hair has gotten wet. Oh, this rain, it will continue through the morning as I'm listening to the bells of the cathedral. I am thinking of your voice and of the midnight picnic once upon a time before the rain began. And I finish up my coffee and it's time to catch the train.
There it is. No, stop. Just a little ditty, right? Just this little ditty. All right. Now, here it is. All right. So this is the version that I remember, right? I've never heard the acapella, right? Hadn't heard it, but this is what I remember. Right? Very, 80s, 90s hip hop type of style, right? A bit.
I am sitting in the morning at the diner on the corner. I am waiting at the counter for the man to pour the coffee, and he fills it only halfway, and before I even argue, he is looking out the window at somebody coming in. It is always nice to see you, says the man behind the counter to the woman who has come in. She is shaking her umbrella, and I look the other way as they are kissing their hellos, and I'm pretending not to see them, and instead I pour the milk. I open up the paper, there's a story of an actor who had died while he was drinking. It was no one I had heard of, and There's a woman on the outside looking inside. Does she see me? No,
That's
she
simple.
does not really see me, 'cause she sees her own reflection. And I'm trying not to notice that she's hitching up her skirt, and while she's straightening her stockings, her hair has gotten wet.
This version definitely has more to latch on to, you know?
Continue through the morning as I'm listening to the bells of the cathedral. I am thinking of your voice.
And I mean, she was in time in the acapella also, you know? So, very easy to swipe and just put something to it. Yeah. Yeah, cool. All right. So I assume that the album, and also here's the things, right? So this was written in 81, which is super interesting, but it came out in 87 on the album, right? 87, Solitude Standing. But then this remix didn't come out until 1990. Now, I assume that this album did all right, right? Did well. Wow. So did she already have this album out? She already put out another album. Wow. I wonder how timed that was, because this came out in April and it showed that this came out in what, July? July. Wow. Cool. Okay, so I assume that Solitude Standing did fine because her first album did pretty well. But to me, this must have just pushed it way over there. Like, I wonder how much more crazy it went after this came out. Okay, so in 1990, oh, here we go. 3 years later, I heard that two young English guys called DNA had put a beat to it, and I cringed. I just had a big hit with Luka, which unfortunately, despite its dark subject matter, child abuse, lent itself to all sorts of parodies and covers, most of which I hated. I fear, yeah. I'll get to this when we get to Luka. I feared more of the same, but to my great relief, I loved what DNA had done. I thought it would be played in a few dance clubs and that would be it, but it surpassed everyone's expectations. I even got a plaque for it being one of the most played R&B songs. Funny for a folk singer, considering herself a folk singer. There you go. Okay. In 1990, two British record producers under the name DNA remixed Tom Steiner, grafting Vega's vocals onto a dance beat from soul to soul and turning her simple ad-libbed outro into the song's driving hook. Oh yeah. At the time, it was impossible to get a whole song into a sampler, so they spent evenings and weekends cutting Vega's vocals into little bits. Without permission from Vega, her record label, or publisher, the duo released the remix on a limited basis for distribution at clubs as Oh Suzanne by DNA featuring Suzanne Vega. Vega's record company at the time, A&M, arranged to release the remix rather than take DNA to court for copyright infringement. A&M struck the deal after consulting with Vega, who liked the interpretation. Vega told a British columnist, A&M asked me what I thought of it, and I told them it was really kind of nice. So I said, go ahead and release it. I wasn't expecting it to be successful. I never thought it would be that popular. It just seemed very charming. The remix became a much larger hit than Vega had with the song originally, peaking at number 2 on the UK single chart. Yeah, it's huge, massive. Number 5 US, became one of the handful of tracks to chart in the top 10 of both modern rock tracks and hot R&B singles. Billboard commented, don't miss the exceptional Tom Steiner by DNA featuring Suzanne Vega. He noted that the Brit outfit had placed a slammin' soul-to-soul flavored swing instrumental underneath Vega's song and also described the track as indelibly infectious. Yeah, a surprise hit. Dance beat as mesmerizing. Strange but true almost. Added that the waif-like pop songstress has suddenly become the queen of London's trendy club scene, thanks to her sinewy, geez, these words, sinewy soul-to-soul style dance hit. This is so effing smooth, you know the original. I'm sure Suzanne's unaccompanied tale of everyday morning life in the big city in the wake of a breakup, incisively, poignantly observed, magical. Now imagine it set to an unobtrusive, mellow backbeat, which slips down even easier. Effing superb. What is it about today? Single of the week. No shit. Okay, man, they are like loving this thing. The lonely vocal part is perfectly complemented by the Steely Dan type horns and the grinding hip hop beat, a fine version. Okay. Song number 1, their top 10 list pick of the year, Dance. Connection of Vega's sensuously soft voice and the unlikely rhythm for her music anyway is startlingly vibrant, and its jazziness is an instant ear catcher. Single of the week, writing a strange record, if only for the fact Suzanne Vega has previously failed to move me in any way, except to get up and leave the room. Dropped against a sensual tactile beat, those irritatingly vacant girly vocals, oh, vacant, oh boy, are miraculously transformed into a hypnotic bittersweet ballad. Crushing folking bore has been given a new lease of life and should be eternally grateful to plastic surgeon's DNA. Jesus. The nearest thing to perfection I've heard all week. Wow. Smash Hits Review said remixes like this one end up sounding far better than the originals, and the result is rather refreshing. Spin remarked that Tom Starr was an intentional hit only after DNA did a dance remix. Yeah, I mean, this is the version that I heard, right? I hadn't heard the original, the acapella. So, yeah, that's what it is. Smash, right? Cool. All right. Luka, the other single, the bigger single or something like that, you know, on the album, the non-DNA single on the album. We're going to check that out next. I'll catch you then later.